Hey Mungos. So I decided to do a second solo video due to me being on spring break. And so how this video came to be was I was going through my playlist on Spotify and I came across a song by Nirvana, one of the most popular rock bands to, ever be here. And if y'all don't know them, you better get on that. I came across their song Polly, and I remember watching a TikTok a while back about the meaning of Polly, and that's what sprang upon this idea because I didn't really hear the full story. So I'm going to be reading, my sources are going to be from extrachill.com, and it's titled The Meaning of Nirvana's Polly. And as you guys know, we don't like to write our own. I write many essays at school, and I don't feel like writing one now. So, enough talk, let me get right into it. Nirvana's Polly is perhaps the darkest song in the band's catalog, which is saying something considering Kurt Cobain's songwriting isn't exactly known for sunshine and rainbows. The track appeared on the band's classic album, Nevermind, released in 1991, which spawned many of Nirvana's hits including The Smell of Teen Spirit and Lithium. While many of the other songs on Nevermind take a heavy rock-forward approach, Polly features a much more subdued arrangement that allows Cobain's harrowing story about the torture and rape of a teenage girl takes the focus. Kurt Cobain based the lyrics to Polly on the disturbing story of Gerald Friend, a serial rapist and kidnapper who was caught after abducting a 14-year-old girl in Tacoma, Washington in 1987. Friend had kidnapped a girl at knife point after offering her a ride from a concert. He hung her from a pulley he had rigged from the ceiling of his trailer and repeatedly beaten her. A court tortured her with the blowtorch and raped her. Then, he would drive around town with her trapped in his truck. Gerald Friend was caught after the girl escaped from the back of his truck at a gas station. This was his second offense, and he had already served 20 years sentence in prison for a similar crime in 1960. He was sentenced to 75 years but was released on parole after 20. And then 7 years later, he did it again. While the story itself is quite disturbing, Cobain's artistic retelling is even more so, as it presents things from the perspective of Gerald Friend himself. This requires the listener to acknowledge the perspective of the rapist and bring to the surface many difficult images, as Friend seemed to be enjoying himself. Quote from the lyrics from Polly by Nirvana. Polly wants a cracker, I think I should get off her. I think she wants some water to put out the blowtorch. End quote from lyrics. Cobain allows himself the artistic embellishment of imagining an alternate version of how Polly may have escaped, by presenting that she was enjoying the encounter just as much as Gerald Friend, who in turns let his guard down for long enough to slip up. Another quote from the lyrics. Polly says her back hurts. She's just as bored as me. She caught me off my guard. Amazes me and will of instinct. End of lyrics. The meaning of Nirvana's Polly, aside from the straightforward interpretation of the story, has to do with Kurt Cobain making a commentary on Gerald Friend. As a product of a screwed-up society, Cobain touched this and more in a very early interview on NME, taking place in 1991, days before the release of Nevermind. Kurt Cobain says, rape is one of the most terrible crimes on earth, and it happens every few minutes, Kurt hissed. The problem with this group who deal with rape, and that they have tried to educate women on how to defend themselves, what really needs to be done is teaching men not to rape. Go to the source and start here. I was taking a friend of mine who went to a rape crisis center where women were taught judo and karate. She looked out the window and saw a football pitch full of boys and thought, those are the people that should really be in this class. End quote. Kurt Cobain had a warped view of society. That's true. But he has a very strong advocate for equal rights and freedom for all. This showed up in the form of artistic theme in much of their music, which often tackled mental health and sexual issues such as rape. This was the case with Polly and more. Cobain wrote a special note in the linear form for the band's 1992 compilation album Insecticide, in which he directly addresses many of these views, including some dark connections with Polly. This is just one way that Kurt Cobain was ahead of his time, and as many of the views he shared were unspoken in the 90s, but are standard among artists today. Quote from Kurt Cobain: "At this point, I have a request from our fans. If any of you, in the way, hate homosexuals, people of different color, or women, please do this one favor for us. Leave us the fuck alone. Don't come to our shows. Don't buy our records. Last year, a girl was raped by 2 wastes of sperm and eggs while they sang the lyrics to our song, Polly. I have a hard time carrying on knowing there are plankton like that in our audience. Sorry to be annually PC, but that's the way I feel." End quote from Kurt Cobain. In addition to being the darkest Nirvana song, Polly also has the distinction of being the only Nirvana song that didn't feature David Grohl on the drums in the studio. The band had initially recorded their material for Nevermind with their original drummer, Chad Channing, but ended up retracking most of the album with Grohl shortly after Polly. Is the only track that will keep from the original sessions. Now that article didn't have much, so I have another source. The source is songmeaningsandfacts.com. So the meaning of the lyrics, according to Song Meanings and Facts, the lyrics of Polly. This song has logically raised the eyebrows of some listeners. For the onset, it would appear that Kurt is mocking the victim of the aforementioned incident. Indeed, the titular Polly is name given to her throughout the song, and he begins by stating, "Polly wants a cracker." This phrase is actually a term which is most commonly used to feeding parrots. Simply put, he is joking about her being hungry, but instead of feeding her, he decides to get off her, meaning to sexually gratify himself at her expense. This conclusion can be verified by the next lines in which he states, "She wants some water to put out the blowtorch." When the girl was with friend, one of the meanings he used to torture her was via a blowtorch, and the tone of the particular line can be definitely read as if Kurt Cobain is mocking or making light of the situation. Moreover, the second verse, the symbolism used throughout the chorus share a similar vulgar yet playful tone. However, in the third verse, the story flips. Now the singer is aware that Polly is just as bored as he is, so at some point, the joy singer was delivering from the situation apparently start to wane down. Then, much to his surprise, she caught him off guard and amazed him the will of instinct, which likely alludes to the fact that in real life, Gerald Friend's victims had been able to escape his clutches, unexpectedly of course, while the two of them were at the gas station. So all things considered, Cobain faithfully portrays that what will likely be Gerald Friend's general frame of thought throughout the entire criminal ordeal, and considering that Friend had provided to be sick, serial rapist, the lyrics of the songs can be equally as disturbing for some listeners. Quote from the lyrics: "Isn't me, have a seed, let me clip dirty wings, let me take a ride, cut yourself, while some help, please myself, get some rope, haven't told, promise you have been true, let me take a ride, cut yourself, want some help, please myself." End of lyrics. Quote from Cobain: "It's an anti-rape song. There's nothing much more I could say about it. What can I say? It's a story about a rapist who captures and tortures this woman. Polly is having sex as a way to develop a relationship. He rapes her at first, they have a relationship, and they fall in love. And then she eventually kills him and runs away." End quote from Cobain. Facts about Polly. Although the exact date or of origin of Polly is unknown, it is known to have existed from at least 1988. Moreover, earlier versions of the song were entitled Hitchhiker and then Cracker, and its initial recording was in 1989. Polly was eventually released on the 24th of September, 1991, by DGC Records as part of Nirvana's second studio album, Nevermind. On the official recording, Cobain used a worn-down second-hand guitar which he claims that he had purchased via a pawn shop for only $20. Polly is an enduring favorite amongst fans of Nirvana. For instance, NME and Rolling Stone have respectfully ranked in the number 18 and 29 on top tracks listed they've compiled specifically of the band's songs. Nirvana itself has featured different versions of the song on a number of albums they have released after Nevermind, including some that came out after Cobain took his own life in 1994. This particular version of Polly, which features on Nevermind, was recorded in April of 1990 in the studio of the track's popular Butch Vig. I will give you guys my thoughts on Polly, because this is the end of the sources that I have. When I was younger, my dad, because he was a Nirvana fan, he would, play this song Polly, and, as a kid, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was just like, dang, these lyrics are so freaking good. And when I revisited them, and now that I'm older, I can now, hear all the disturbing things that were in this song. And I agree with some people that, the lyrics, if you just listen to them by themselves, it does sound like they are making fun of the victim. However, now that I have done some of this research, I can agree with Kurt Cobain in that, no, this song is not about making fun of the victim. It's the opposite. It's to spread awareness, because things like this, like he said, happen every minute of every day. And it's really unfortunate that things like that happen. But as a kind of listener of Nirvana, I will say that this is one of my, not favorite songs, but impactful songs that I like to listen from them. And I'm sure if Moshi was here, she would tell you guys all about it, because I'm pretty sure she is an active Nirvana fan. And she will tell me all the facts and shit about this, and yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this solo episode or episode 2 of the solo episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. Anyways, we will see you in a while, because all these episodes are just coming out each month or something. We will try to be more consistent, as I am gonna be on summer break in about 8 weeks. So hopefully we will be more consistent with our uploads like we did. Hopefully pumping them out every week, and if not, please be patient with us, because I'm the one that's in college and Moshi works. Well, I work and I'm in college, so it's really hard to keep up with these episodes. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.